Giannis got what he wanted. Giannis says he wants players to come to Milwaukee. He got Dame. Dame wants to win for a chip. He's playing with a team that could go through the East. I guess the only people that lost were Miami. I think that's it.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with me today on this Wind Up Wednesday, Cavalcade of Stars. Let's start off with my Captain for Life, Will Cotton. Will, how you doing, man?
Man, grinding, baby, grind. Let's go.
Our favorite administrator, Robert Abney. Robert, how are you today?
As always, sir, I am living the dream. Let's roll, man.
Absolutely. And of course, you can find the Odd Coaches Podcast on YouTube, iHeart, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. And let's get started because there was a big trade, fellas. Finally, it happened. Dame time has moved to the cold Milwaukee City with Laverne and Shirley and Happy Days. The Portland Trail Blazers traded Damian Lillard to play alongside Giannis Antetokounmpo as a part of a three-team deal that includes Phoenix, and it also includes Phoenix, Milwaukee, and Portland. So let's just talk about Dame before we really dig into the trade. Dame leaves Portland after 11 seasons in which he made the All-NBA team 7 times. He led the franchise and played to the playoffs 8 times, including a Western Conference final appearance in 2018-2019. He ranks first in team history in points and three-pointers, and he's second in assists. He's 33, had a career season last year, averaging 32 and 7 assists, but he played in just 58 games, sat out the last month. He dropped 71 last year. So let's talk about the trade itself. Milwaukee gets Dame Lillard. The Suns get Yusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Nasir Little, and Keon Johnson. And Portland will receive Jrue Holiday. Finally, DeAndre Ayton gets out of there. Toumani Camara, Milwaukee's 2029 unprotected first-round draft pick, and unprotected draft swap rights in 2028 and 2030. The Blazers elected to keep their draft pick after both seasons. Most recently, they picked Scoot Henderson. So, Will, I'm going to start with you. Tell me your thoughts on the trade, how it all went down, who won, who lost. Floor is yours, my friend.
As many of you know, I have had very opinionated about this comment. And I like Dame Lillard. I think Dame is a great player. I think, he doesn't get in trouble. He's good with the kids. He does a lot of stuff with the community. So I have no issues with him. I think the Portland Blazers won that trade. Now, I'm not thinking about in terms of the seasons and winning. I'm in terms of controlling your organization. Okay, when you have players who demand things quite loudly, I think it's the responsibility of the organization to look at the organization and provide guidance and say, look, we're going to do what's best for us, not for Damian Lillard. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a great guy. Hey, but if he's not wearing our jersey, why are we trying to help this guy out? And coldly kind of say it. I think one of the things that Dame messed up was being loud about it. 2 things: talking out to guys, talking about, I'm not scared of the wreck, and I always, I don't skip the work and all this stuff. And then when he wants to get traded, he wants to be extra loud. I didn't think that worked for him. I think if he had been quietly, I think if dignitely, if he said, hey guys, this isn't working for me, let's find a trade partner. All of a sudden we'd have learned out of nowhere, like, Dame was traded, da 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 da. People are like, oh my God, da 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 da. And I think that's the better way he should have went about it. I think these guys they try to throw their weight everywhere, and it's like, look, if you don't have a no trade clause, you really don't have nothing to stand on. But it looks like Dame will do at least 1 year in Milwaukee. He's gonna figure out what's going on, what Giannis wants to do. So I think it works for everyone. Portland got players. The Suns got rid of Ayton. Giannis got what he wanted. Giannis says he wants players to come to Milwaukee. He got Dame. Dame wants to win for a chip. He's playing with a team that could go through the East. I guess the only people that lost were Miami. I think that's it. But it looked like it worked out for everyone. And if Dame decides to stay with Milwaukee, that could change the course of time in terms of the future of the East. So let's don't and again, let's not remember he's still making like $40 million.
Oh, this has nothing to do with finance. This is just basketball. And speaking of basketball, Robert, I don't have keys ready for me, but tell me what you think about Dame finally getting traded, sir.
It's like I always say: if someone puts their keys on the table, you take them. He wanted out, you find a way to get him out because he's going to be a problem. And as good a player as he is, it wasn't going to go well trying to say nope, not trading you. You're staying here and playing for us. That wasn't going to go well. Him go to Milwaukee, I mean, that's put him and Giannis in a pick and roll and put a couple of 3-and-D guys shooters in the corners, and that they're going to be a problem because Giannis and Dame, I mean, those two guys, they can score. So that changes that balance of power a little bit in the East, I think.
All right. So real quick, my quick thoughts. There was an article that came out about the Lillard trade, and when it was obvious that he wasn't going to go to Miami, he had offered to come back and stay, and no. So first of all, looking at Portland's management, you did what management's supposed to do. You looked after your own team. Nobody owes anybody anything. So stop with the O thing. People have said Portland owed Dame based on 11 years. It was a mutually beneficial relationship. And if the team didn't do whatever Dame didn't, wanted them to do, and they didn't do that, then he has a right to ask out, and the team has an obligation to have him leave, but have him leave while Portland gets some assets back. Moving forward, let's look at the East. Let's look at the West. Who are the early favorites? I got to think my panel is going to be in concert with this. So, Will, I'm going to start with you in the Eastern Conference. Who are the favorites? Because right now it looks like a 2-team race, and throw in a third team if you feel so inclined.
I mean, it's still looking like Milwaukee. It's looking like Boston. And obviously it may change. I think you can sneak in if you want to add the Sixers if they can figure it out, But I think it's a 2-team race in my opinion. I don't think. And Miami, I think it's kind of, I think they're losing.
Remember, Miami was in the play-in last year, Will, okay?
Right,
and they should have lost to Milwaukee, but everybody was injured. So if that doesn't happen, we're not having these conversations. Yeah. Robert, are you in agreement that the Eastern Conference is Boston and Milwaukee? And if you're so inclined, throw in a third team.
Well, I was kind of thinking about the Knicks. No, I wasn't. It's Milwaukee and Boston, and I mean, and hey, as long as Spo is still the coach in Miami, they're going to be dangerous. But that. Like you said, they were in a play-in game last year.
Yeah, I'm not going to overvalue Miami based on Milwaukee being injured. I will throw in Brooklyn because Brooklyn is well coached. So Brooklyn may be the 4th or 5th seed because Jacque Vaughn's going to have them play every night. Robert, I'm going to stay with you, and in the Western Conference, give me your top 2 teams and maybe a third if you have one. What are you thinking about the West?
Oh, man. I think the Lakers are looking pretty good. I think the Warriors are always going to be dangerous, even though, I mean, this is a season where they were kind of like, okay, let's keep the band together for one more tour, and that may not go well. But I think for now, I'm going to stick with those 2 teams.
All right, Will, what do you think?
Same 2 teams. It's hard not to say Clippers, they're finally going to be healthy, but it's the Clippers, so you never know what's going to happen. And it's crazy that no one's think that Denver's going to repeat. I mean, they haven't changed anything. They got a little better in terms of health. Guys, they were able to keep guys around that are good for the team. There's no reason not to believe. But it could be that post championship hangover. I think that's what we're gonna get. We're seeing a lot of partying for from the Joker. But yeah, I think it's and it's crazy to say, like the Lakers. Somehow every now and again they got youth now. They got size. They still got the greatest player of the generation going on, LeBron James. AD has been going in the gym. He's getting huge. I think the coach said that he was, he doesn't even know what he looks like. He's like totally different. His body is so changed. He's putting the work in. So I guess it sounds good, but I agree with you guys, man.
All right. So for me, it's Denver, it's Phoenix, and my third team to watch, who may be 4 or 5, Oklahoma City. Because Chet's healthy, you got good players, and those guys will not be a part of the 65-game crew. So that's what I think. And in segment 2, we're going to jump around the league, talk about some teams, see how they're prepping because training camp will be here quite quickly. We'll be right back on the iCoaches podcast.
Why should student athletes use the CKA SAVE Project academic and athletic consulting services? Over the past 15 to 20 years, colleges, universities, professional sports teams, business organizations, and others have increased their use of consulting services to improve their decision-making processes and results. Over the same time, the athletic and academic landscape has changed for high school and college student athletes as the NCAA has raised initial academic eligibility requirements for student athletes while decreasing the number of transfer restrictions. Former college student athletes have noted that they were academic and athletically unprepared for the rigors of college. Let the CKA SAVE Project's close to 30 years of academic and athletic experience help guide student athletes to increase success as we work to help student athletes achieve the goal of obtaining a college degree. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the iCoaches podcast in segment 2. We're going to jump around, talk about a couple of teams as we get ready for the 2023-2024 season. Let's start with the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are fully healthy entering training camp in Hawaii. What a place to have training camp. So Kawhi Leonard only played a small amount of games in this time frame with the Clippers, and Paul George has been injured as well. Lawrence Frank, the team president, said there's been discussions with both of them concerning contract extensions. Both stars grew up near Los Angeles and wanted to play here, and each have $48 million player options for the 2024-2025 season and are eligible to sign 4-year extensions worth $223 million each. The Clippers are going into a season where Leonard and George are entering their 5th season together, but what did you get out of it? And Ty Lue's contract is up at the end of the year, if I'm not mistaken. And they just signed Josh Primo to a 2-way contract. And if you recall last year, the 20-year-old Primo, who the Spurs selected with the 12th pick in the 2021 draft, let's just say had some challenges and has been seeking help to deal with these challenges. So, Will, I gave you a lot of info about the Clippers. We talked about some early season predictions. Are the Clippers in the mix, or is this much to do about nothing?
We'll see. We'll see. I think one of the biggest things that the Clippers have, the issues they had, was they haven't been able to have that continuity. Kawhi sits out, Paul George sits out, Paul George is hurt, Kawhi is hurt, Russ is, figuring out who he is. We'll see. Now we actually have time to have them play because the owners approved and said there's going to be a lot more stricter in terms of resting stars. So, but consistency is going to grow the team. I mean, more games that PG and Kawhi and Russ play together, they're going to grow better. Those guys are smart basketball players. Again, you know, I still think they're going to get hurt. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's like a car. It's like, if you don't, if the car is going to get hurt, the car is going to be messed up. There's going to be something going on, an ankle, a knee, and Kawhi's knees are made of styrofoam anyway. So,
Robert, save me. What do you think? What do you think about the Clippers this year, man?
The two over 4 years, the two of them have played. On average, they've played a little more than half of the games that they've been on the team together. Last year they played 38 games. That sounds about right. I mean, when they're on the floor together, the Clippers are good. But I just can't see them staying on the floor. I mean, Kawhi is a great player, and he has been extremely injury prone. Same with Paul George. They're not getting any younger. I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening.
So let's travel back to the East Coast, the Brooklyn Nets. So when the Brooklyn Nets open training camp, Ben Simmons, stop it, Robert, is expected to be a full participant. He is back and better than ever, to date a reference from ESPN. Jacques Vaughn and Sean Marks, general manager, reported out that Simmons is fully participating in 5-on-5 workouts without restrictions and should be ready to go when the first practice hits. Okay, so now, Robert, Ben Simmons is healthy. Jacques Vaughn has got a guy who's 6'10" and can play multiple positions, may be challenged as a shooter. We'll acknowledge that, may be challenged. But what do you think? Can Brooklyn be the sneaky pick that I think they're going to be? The floor is yours, sir.
I no.
I tried.
You tried. I would. He's really, really talented. I don't think he likes basketball. I don't think he likes playing basketball. And it's awfully hard to be good at something that you don't like to do. And I just don't see something is going to I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if he'll get hurt. I don't know. I don't see it happening. I don't think he'll make it through the season on the floor.
All right, Will, did I sell you on Brooklyn and the return of Ben Simmons?
Well, I don't think it's so much been a physical issue or injury that's going to battle. I think it's his mental. I think he just can't get up to play, whether it's depression, whether it's anxiety. And we have to remember that happened with DeMar DeRozan when he got traded. He kind of flayed around for a couple of years and because he was sad and he was upset, and so maybe that is what we need. Maybe physically now he's great. Mentally is where he needs to be. And let's not forget, that contract is kind of getting, it's getting to the end, and I think he has 2 years left. So, and he's 27. So there's totally opportunity for make a lot money if he can blow up and show that, hey guys, I've gotten over my hump. I've gotten over my issues. I don't know if that equates to winning, but I think he's definitely saying, hey, look, I got to keep this lifestyle up and I got to keep this going. And, 37 million this year, 40 million next year, got 35 last year. There's a lot of reason to stay in the gym. So I'd come back too.
All right. So, Robert, I'm going to go with you because you're my administrator. We're going to talk about the Golden State Warriors. Okay. So you got Steph back. You got Clay back. Draymond is back, but he's injured. You got rid of Jordan Poole. We found out what was said, and that's not good. But are they too old? Can they make a run? You'd mentioned in segment one about getting the band back together. What do you think about Golden State, Rob?
I
You're an expensive backpack.
I
Pow!
I mean, Steph, I love Steph Curry. I love him. And I think as long as they have him and as long as he's on the floor, they're going to be in it. That being said, um, I just don't know if there's enough in the tank for them to get through a whole season healthy and be in the mix at the end of the season. And that's really the challenge for them. Can they all stay? Can Draymond get healthy? Can they all stay healthy? Can Draymond not melt down? Because that's always a thing. But it's man, I don't know. I don't know. I love them. I love watching them play. They are fun to watch, but it's going to be tough for them.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about Golden State, man? And again, that's what he said to get folded.
Hey, I think it's I think I don't think they're gonna get it. I don't think they're gonna win. I think Dunleavy Jr., I think he's doing a great job of building a bridge because as a new GM, he needs something to keep the people and the fans still keep the energy going. You still have Clay, you still have Steph, obviously, so you'll be competitive. You got Chris Paul, that's never made anyone to the finals better or win it. So I don't, I guess what you're doing, but what he's allowing that bridge, he's not trying to go in there with the cupboard bare. He needs something. And if you have like Robert said, if you got Steph Curry for another 4 or 5 years, man, at least try and win this year. If you can't, try and, get rid of some contracts and put the next 2, 3 in and try and go again. But he's just trying to utilize the time he has. So, it's one of those things, man, where
The national media is going to talk about Golden State all year because that's what they do. We're basketball people. Yeah, good luck with that. And if they're 4 or 5, I think that's their ceiling because they're part of the 65 club. And when I say the 65 club, meaning their best players are going to play at best about 65 games. And if you win 60% of that, you're still in the 40s. And then if you split the other ones, you're at about 50 to 55 wins, and that'll get you somewhere in
4,
there.
5, 6.
Yeah. So again, OKC's gonna play. Them young legs is gonna get after it. So when you start slow and get ready for Christmas games, have at it. But you got the play in. They got that new tournament that Adam Silver wants, just like the European leagues. And yeah, those young guys want to play, and the old guys don't. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Finally, Robert, I'm going to close out with you talking about Dallas and Kyrie is signed, sealed, and delivered for the next few years. What do you think, sir? Close us out. Kyrie is now a Maverick for the next 3 or 4 years.
I've never been a Kyrie fan. I think that he doesn't strike me as a good teammate. And I mean, obviously I have no idea what kind of guy he is or anything like that, but he doesn't strike me as being a real good teammate. He strikes me as being hard to play with. I don't, he and Luka, I mean, is that a good, is that a good pairing? I guess it could be. But Kyrie needs the ball and Luka kind of needs the ball. And I don't know what that's going to look like. I just don't know.
Will, would you like to add anything before we close out this segment on Kyrie and Dallas?
On top that Robert kind of add, they kind of play 2 different styles. Kyrie's kind of more flashy, quick, moving, dirting, pick and roll. Luka's a little bit, pick and roll, see what's going on, play his own speed. So that'll be interesting how they play together when they, one's very fast, one's very slow. But it's hard for us to trust on Kyrie. You fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And if you fool me 3 times, it's probably going to happen. But we'll see what Mark Cuban happens. So he's going to get fooled 3rd time. So, but anytime you have those 2, man, you're going to be exciting. You're going to get you're going to win games. You're going to be in games. There'll be, it was a collapse last year. I hope that they can make it in 5, 6, 7, spice up the playoffs. But I don't expect much.
Kyrie is one of the most physically gifted players I have ever seen in my life. And good luck with that, because at best, you're going to be 4 or 5. At best, because they're a part of the 65 club too. So when we get back, fans, we'll talk about WNBA playoffs. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast.
Why should student athletes use the CKA SAVE Project academic and athletic consulting services? Over the past 15 to 20 years, colleges, universities, professional sports teams, business organizations, and others have increased their use of consulting services to improve their decision-making processes and results. Over the same time, the athletic and academic landscape has changed for high school and college student athletes as the NCAA has raised initial academic eligibility requirements for student athletes while decreasing the number of transfer restrictions. Former college student athletes have noted that they were academic and athletically unprepared for the rigors of college. Let the CKA SAVE Project's close to 30 years of academic and athletic experience help guide student athletes to increase success as we work to help student athletes achieve the goal of obtaining a college degree. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast in segment 3. Let's talk WNBA. So, one, congratulations. There's some expansion news out there. The Golden State Warriors are close to bringing a WNBA expansion franchise to the Bay Area. A deal has not been finalized yet, but it's expected soon. The team will play at the Chase Center and will be operated by the Warriors. WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert said last year that she hopes to expand the league by 2 starting in 2025 at the latest. San Francisco is a big area. You got some top collegiate teams there with Stanford and Cal. So yes, let's get some expansion. Let's get more people playing. Now let's get to the playoffs. Okay, Las Vegas. The Aces are in the finals, and they're trying to win their second consecutive championship. A'ja Wilson didn't win MVP. Breanna Stewart did, and heck, she finished 3rd. So, Will, what do you think about Vegas' chances to repeat, especially with that added little motivation about being 3rd in the MVP ballot? Does that make a difference?
I think it does. Jordan felt the same way. In 93 when I was 5, 6 years old. So, but yeah, no, I mean that fuels great athletes. I think Aja's going to get. She's been snubbed. I think I wouldn't believe that she says I don't care about the MVP. I'm focused on the finals. No player who says that believes that truly. I think she's out for blood. And I think she's out to say, look, well, I'm going to win this championship and I'm going to get the final MVP, which is the real MVP. So y'all woken up a giant. I would have gave her the MVP and let her party and maybe get but now she's focused. So watch out if you're guarding A'ja Wilson.
All right. So, Robert, you said that the New York, Connecticut series would last a little longer and the Aces will get a chance to rest. New York should close out as we tape. So when we come on next week, the finals will be set. Any thoughts headed into the WNBA finals? What are you thinking about, sir?
I agree with Will as far as A'ja Wilson. I mean, the best players find motivation in small things like that. I mean, she was 3rd by 13 points. It was a really close vote. But that will be motivation for her. She is going to be on a mission. Again, that being said, the Aces have had trouble with Liberty this year.
Yes.
And that is, I mean, it's going to be a great finals. If assuming the Liberty can close out the Sun, it's going to be a great finals. But the Aces are going to they got to solve that problem. I don't know how they're going to do it.
All right. So USA basketball tryouts, and I love that it's tryouts. The USA basketball women's national team will play exhibitions against Tennessee and Duke in November in preparation for the 2024 Olympics. They'll play Tennessee November 5th, and they'll play Duke November 12th. And the goal is to help evaluate players. So they got training camp November 7th through 9th. Between the exhibitions, and the roster information will come out soon. So I'm looking forward to that. Shout out to both South Carolina women's basketball and Rutgers women's basketball, who will play an exhibition game October 22nd to honor the late great player Nikki McRae Pinson, who both worked for both staffs. She passed away this past summer for breast cancer, and I'm just a fan of them coming together and honoring her. Take care of yourself. Kim Mulkey had a little numbness in the tip of her finger. Went to the doctor, found out that she had a 95 to 99% blockage. She hadn't experienced any symptoms, had no idea she had a heart issue. So, folks, please make sure you get your checkups. Will, anything you want to add to that if you would like, sir?
Let's always remember, man, Deion Sanders. He had his health issues, and I hope he's taking care of him now. He's doing great now. He's doing great things in Colorado. Let's continue that and stay healthy. And everyone, Kim Mulkey, we have our own, professional opinions of each other, but we have no kind of hate or anything like that. We need to get better. We need you on the sideline because we need to be making fun of you and cooking you all the time. And, we love you. So just, stay, take care of yourself. And just that's the thing, man. You can't win if you don't take care of yourself. So
yeah. Tasha Butts, Georgetown women's basketball coach Tasha Butts has taken away time from the team to focus on her health as she is as she's battling breast cancer. Associate coach Darnell Haney will take her place in her absence. She was diagnosed in 2021, and again, Georgetown is local to us. I want to ask you, Robert, though, as an administrator, when you have situations like this, what is your approach? Because you want to take care of your coach, but you're also knowing you're going to have to go through an entire season, possibly with an interim situation. And again, her associate head coach has stepped in her absence. But what are your thoughts on how you would approach that?
Well, I think the first and most important thing is that you make sure you're taking care of your people. So your head coach, the coach who is on leave, make sure that you're not doing something by putting them on leave where like their insurance goes away or stuff like that. You got to make sure you're taking care of them. It's probably I'd be shocked if they haven't had several conversations about, okay, what is this season going to look like? What are we going to the head coach about? What are we dealing with the interim head coach about, the associate head coach? What are those conversations going to look like? What is that? I mean, there are leave restrictions for the head. There may be leave restrictions for that head coach. She may not be able to do certain things. She may not be able to travel with the team. She may not be able to be in the gym while the team is there. Those are all things that you've got to sort out and make sure before the season, everybody has an understanding of, okay, here's what we have to do and here's what the season's going to look like.
Yeah. Well, we do wish her well. Again, very excited about the hire. And again, our best go out to her. Finally, the WBIT. The NCAA will hold the inaugural 32-team women's basketball invitational tournament next spring on campus sites, with the champion being crowned April 3rd in Indianapolis. ESPN owns the television rights to this broadcast, and ESPN Plus will air preliminary round games Butler's Hinkle Fieldhouse will host the Final Fours of both the WBIT and the NIT in April. The men's championship game will be played April 4th. Like the NIT, the higher seeded women's team will host first round games March 21st, second round games March 24th, and quarterfinal games March 28th. Regular season conference champs that don't make the NCAA tournament will receive automatic bids. The WBIT and the selection committee will use a variety of factors to determine at-large bids. So, hey, women are getting just a little bit of extra time, a little bit of extra love with that. A 32-team tournament. Let's get this thing going. As we close, folks, merch is still for sale. Make sure you get your Odd Coaches podcast gear as well as your CKA Save Project gear. Go to www.ckasaveproject.itemorder.com, order your gear, and make sure you subscribe and share the Odd Coaches podcast. So on behalf of our cavalcade of stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast. We'll see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach FRANCHIZE. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.